Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this short version of the hit that we're calling a quick hit. I'm your host, Logan Graffi, and we're going to get into some specifics and some details on the new hire by the New Orleans Saints, Todd Grantham. Many people are having questions and are actually questioning the hire. But I, for one, am a actual fan of this hire because I've been a fan of Grantham's defenses for so long and a fan of just the overall defensive and coaching philosophies for so long too. And many people are trying to put together why this hire, why him, who is he? Some are asking, tell me more about him, and that's what I'm going to do for you today. So let's just get right. Let's get started. So got his feet wet first of all in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts back in 1999 under the second greatest coach in Saints franchise history, Jim Mora. He was there for 2 years, and he saw a huge turnaround from one year to the other. In '99, he was 3-13. Then in 2000, they was 13-3. And one of the best parts about that Colts defense was their defensive line having over 50 sacks on the season. So that's bullet point number one: defensive line, which I believe is going to be the position group of him that he's going to be coaching on this side of the ball for the New Orleans Saints. I think he's going to be the next defensive line coach, where he's going to replace Ryan Nielsen. So after his time with the Indianapolis Colts, he went on 2 years later to go be the defensive line coach for the Houston Texans under Romeo Crennel's tutelage. So, with that being said, no, actually not under Romeo Crennel, excuse me, under head coach Dom Capers, who was once on the New Orleans Saints staff too, once upon a time. And as I'm reading here, yeah, I mean, despite one of the bullet points I'm reading here, despite one of the years having a 5-11 record, there was optimism for the future on the steadily improving defense, especially on the defensive line front for the Houston Texans when he was there. So then he gets hired to be the defensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns under Romeo Crennel, and they saw an improvement in the pass rush defense and on the defensive line in general under Todd Grantham's tutelage. But then ultimately, as many know, the Cleveland Browns were not very good from '05 to '07 when he was there. It's because it was the Cleveland Browns, we all know. And then he goes on to be the defensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys for a season. And then he goes on to be what we know him as defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs. And he's coached many linebackers, many great defenders. I mean, you got Jarvis Jones, who went on to play for the Steelers, Alec Ogletree, John Jenkins. I mean, the list goes on and on. And then you go on to Louisville Cardinals when he was there from 2014 under Bobby Petrino. Louisville Cardinals saw a massive improvement on the defensive front under Todd Grantham. They improved. Then 3 years later, he was hired under Dan Mullen to be the defensive coordinator of Mississippi State. Pretty darn good defenses there. Most of his college football stops have been in the SEC, where some of the best players come from. Then after his time at the Mississippi State, he goes on to be the defensive coordinator, where we all know him from mainly for the Florida Gators under Dan Mullen. He followed Dan Mullen from Mississippi State to the Florida Gators, where he was there from 2017 to 2021, where he was fired after Dan Mullen was let go as well. Florida, let's see, right here. Grantham has previously served on the Mullen's defensive coordinator at Mississippi State during the 2017 season. In his first year at Florida, Gators finished 28th in total defense nationally and 5th in the SEC. Pretty good right there. And in 2019, the Bengals tried to hire him away to be their next defensive coordinator. That seems pretty good to me. And then he was let go in 2021 after Dan Mullen was let go. But also, here's a fun fact for you. In 2013, before Rob Ryan was hired to be the defensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints, Todd Grantham was actually in a run-in for the defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. He was interviewed, but ultimately Rob Ryan got the job. But as I put it out for you, he's going to probably replace Ryan Nielsen. He's probably going to replace Ryan Nielsen to be the next defensive line coach. And it looks like he might be even in the running to be the next assistant head coach, which I am not against. I really think this is a good hire. And also, I truly believe I want people to get on board with this hire, because I think the next hire you're going to see is probably Joe Woods being a secondary coach. I think that's going to be the next domino to fall. So Todd Grantham might Todd Grantham's going to be the defensive line coach, and it's very, 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 very possible that Joe Woods is going to be the next secondary coach for the New Orleans Saints. So, Saints fans, I hope I laid out as much as I could for you in a short amount of time. If you have any questions, please leave your comments, concerns, all your questions right there below. This has been a quick hit edition of the podcast, The Hit. I am Logan Graffia. We shall see you next time.